In today's Leeds news, Leeds sends scouts to watch Franculino, 49ers 3-year survival gamble, and Gelhardt likened to Dennis Bergkamp. Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds View for Thursday morning, the 13th of November with your Leeds United news. It's not an action-packed day of news on the Leeds front, but three relatively chunky stories to get stuck into, specifically the one around the Leeds United's ownership plan and very tight plan for the next couple of years. Also, you can check out last night I sat down with Harvey Marcus, who was the man that created the Paris 75 documentary that's in screens in Leeds and plan to come to Ireland at some point in the near future as well, and has a little bit of a look at the 1975 European Cup final where Leeds were robbed and what happened on that night, what was surrounding it, and the context of everything to do with that night and the documentary itself. You can check that out on the channel if you want it. It's a bit of a longer one. It's available on audio podcast as well. It's definitely one for the car, a walk, or a cup of tea and a chill out, so you can check that out if you want it. Outside of that though, we'll get stuck into today's news. We start off with some rumour mill territory, and again, as I always say, just take this stuff with a little bit of a pinch of salt until it becomes more concrete. But January window is fast approaching with only 6-ish weeks left before the winter window opens up, and although Robbie Evans told all Leeds United fans at the end of the summer window the Leeds United had maxed the PSR, there have been multiple football finance experts who have disagreed with that, along with some accountants as well, but they all agree on one thing. If Leeds United are to make moves in January, they will also need to sell some players to get those adequate reinforcements in. Daniel Farke gave some indication last week during his press conference that Leeds may be looking at the January window. When asked about it, he said he'll talk about it when the window's open, and that wasn't a no. Today's report from Graham Bailey suggests that Leeds are keeping their eye on a striker outside of the constantly mentioned right winger that the club are looking to bring in, and Bailey was the first journalist to break the Harry Gray new contract story several weeks before it actually happened. But he is hit and miss, and that should be said just to balance this out. But according to Bailey, he says that Leeds United have sent scouts to watch Midtjylland's striker Franculino. The striker carries a very high price tag though. It's in and around €40 million, but when Leeds missed out on Pajau during the summer, they told The Athletic that the money was there for a very special type of player, and maybe Franculino is one of those players. Currently this season he has scored 19 goals and added 3 assists and is averaging a goal every 83 minutes, and he scored against Celtic in Europe recently as well. The 21-year-old Guinea-Bissau international has a total of 52 goals and 13 assists in 99 games over the last 3 seasons. Again, 21 years of age. It's a phenomenal strike rate for a young striker, and you can see how powerful he is as well. Graham Bailey on the link said the following: he's got a lot of teams looking at him. West Ham like him a lot. They looked at him in the summer. Midtjylland have put a 40 million price tag on his head, and teams will possibly try and soften that by putting in lesser offers. He's got an awful lot of interest, and I'm told 20 clubs across Europe like him. Leeds United have looked at him. He's on their radar and they have watched him. This would be an incredibly tough deal to get done if there was any significant and real interest from Leeds United in him. He's a very talented young striker. He would add an awful lot to what Leeds have, but you would imagine there would be players that would need to leave before he could come in. But he has got a cutting edge, he has got goals in him, and he's a bit of flair as well, and Leeds are missing quite a lot of that in the side right now. So if they are to try and bring in this kind of player, Robbie Evans and the ownership will need to put their hand deep in their pocket and try and find some loose change rattling around to see if they can probably pry him away from Midtjylland. But yeah, an interesting story, an interesting striker as well. But Leeds obviously need creativity as well as just a striker, so it wouldn't be the be-all and end-all of everything. You would still need another reinforcement somewhere else in the team. But interesting to keep an eye on that over the next couple of weeks. Let's move on. Let's talk about the ownership. As much as Daniel Farke is under the microscope right now, it's also probably worth having a deeper look at the ownership of Leeds United and their ambitions for the club over the next couple of years. We've heard from Parag Marathe, who said that he wants to lead Leeds to being one of the top sides in Europe eventually. But does that stack up to what the fans are being told versus what the investors who put their money into Leeds United are being told? Right now, Leeds United have plenty of culpability to go around for the current slide. The manager, Daniel Farke, for being probably too rigid and stubborn in his tactics and approach. The players for doing the basics properly, not tracking runners and ball watching, and the ownership for not finishing off the window and giving everyone what was needed to get the most out of the side this year. Over the weekend, an interesting piece came out from Daniel Chapman, Moscow White, in his written article after the Nottingham Forest game, which gives an insight into the club's ambitions and what investors are being told versus what the fan base is also being told. In the piece, Daniel Chapman points out that off-record investor documents indicate that the plan for the next 3 years is to survive and just about survive, and it might explain the lack of a rush to make any change in the management department. Sunderland's CEO, in contrasting style, went on Sky Sports recently and he told them that their aim for this season was to finish 10th, but for Leeds and Leeds fans, it could be time to strap in for what could be a much more bumpy ride. In the Nottingham Forest review, Chapman says the following: off-record investor documents indicate that United's owners, the 49ers Enterprises, expect Daniel Farke to manage Leeds to 16th place by the end of this season. The aim for the following 2 seasons is 15th place. After losing to Nottingham Forest after a third of this season, Leeds are right where the owners want them to be. 16th, level on points with 15th. This approach and style, to me, kind of indicates that this is like setting up for a draw before a match happens. You're likely to lose that game because of that. And a gamble on the narrowest of margins over the next couple of years could show a little bit of a lack of ambition here and will likely lead to a rocky road for fans. And it could also lead for a rocky road for the owners as well, especially with fan sentiment could easily turn against them during that period. If the information in this piece is correct and is off-record investor documents, Leeds fans have been told that the aim is Europe over the next couple of years, where the investors have been told it's survival and just about survival. 3 years of hanging in could lead to a very toxic environment around the place. We've seen it with Wolverhampton Wanderers over the last couple of years. We've seen it with West Ham. We've seen it with Everton as well over the last couple of years. And it could lead to a little bit of unrest around the place, especially with a brand new spanking looking Elland Road on the plans. Survival is obviously Leeds United's main goal, and to stay in the Premier League for as long as they can. But surviving by the tightest of margins, that goal always should be higher, and it won't give you a huge amount of breathing room, and Leeds should be trying to at least aim to get a little bit more breathing room than just above the relegation zone for the next 3 years. You can check out the full piece from Daniel Chapman on his page. It's pinned below in a comment, and it's also in the description as well. You can check that out if you want and let me know your thoughts on that one. But yeah, there's a sentiment poll up on as well. We did a sentiment poll yesterday on Daniel Farke's management. It's only fair to do the same on the ownership. So there's a sentiment poll in the post section of the channel as well on the current ownership, and do you have faith in them to keep Leeds in the Premier League over the next couple of years? It's always fair to balance manager and ownership out. It's probably unfair to go after just one of them. So you can make your own decisions on that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Joe Gelhardt. Joe Gelhardt's form this season means he keeps popping up in these news videos and in the Leeds United online news as well. And as we're a aggregate news channel, very likely he finds his way back in here every single week. At the moment, he's having one hell of a season. So far this year, Joe Gelhardt has got 7 goals and 3 assists in the Championship, 10 G&A in 13 starts so far this season. He has been in the best run of his career to date, and rightfully getting the plaudits from his peers. The kicker in this story with Joffy is he's not been played as a striker. He's played more so on the right wing or as a number 10. Joe has just over 18 months left on his current Leeds United deal, but the plan from Leeds was to sell him last summer for in and around £5 million. And according to the recent media reports, they claimed that the plan is still the same going into next summer. His form, though, may change Leeds United's position on that, and it'll definitely generate an awful lot more interest in the player. But his Hull City manager, Sergei Yakirovic, has compared Joe Gelhardt to Dennis Bergkamp recently, but has clarified those comments. And in his interview, he said the following on Joe Gelhardt. Gelhardt is more of a winger than a centre forward. I won't go into the reasons why Leeds gave him up, but I had more than enough information about him before I came to Hull. Gelhardt knows how to score goals without any exaggeration, in the style of the legendary Dennis Bergkamp. Joffy, over the past 2 seasons, has found 2 managers at Hull City who very much believe in him and clearly trust him, and he's reaping the benefits of that as well. He is in the best form of his entire career so far to date, and he is playing brilliant football. It's been brilliant to see him playing with a smile on his face, enjoying himself again. A player that caused absolutely no problems at Leeds and always gave everything for the club. Was a uber professional while he was at Leeds United, and it's great to see him playing well and getting some regular minutes and enjoying himself playing football there as well. Good guy, good professional, good attitude. It's great to see that happening, but he might end up back at Leeds United. You never know if he continues to go the way that he is going right now, but we are seeing the form from Joe Gelhardt that Marcelo Bielsa saw in him as a younger player when he had him at Leeds United. So yeah, an interesting one. But again, just to give you a little bit of an update, we will have Wilco 92 on. We're going to interview them tonight. It'll be out on the channel tomorrow night as another bonus podcast during the international break. Might actually go out on Saturday probably actually. And you can check out the Paris 75 from last night as well. A bit of a passion project for me. I really enjoyed doing this. It's a interesting story and a massive part of Leeds United's history and why we sing we are the champions of Europe. So if you haven't watched that, go check it out. Bring the dog for a walk. Go to the gym. Whatever you want to do. But you can check that out if you want to. Outside of that, that'll be it for me today. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.